One of my favorite stories in the Bible is where they talk about how there was a guy who owed the king some money, and he begged and he pleaded and he was like, oh my gosh, I don't have the money to pay you back, just please, have pity on your servant, I do apologize, I got this debt, and just take pity on me. And the king was so gracious. He heard his pleas and he was like, you know what, you're good, don't worry about it, move on from this, I've moved on from it, your debt is wiped clean. Next thing you know, he finds someone that owes him money. Now, granted, this person owed him, we'll say like a couple $100s, but the debt to the king was like an astronomical amount because clearly he couldn't pay it. So he goes to the person and he's like, yo, you owe me this money. And he's giving the guy a very hard time. Well, word gets back to the king that the man treated that guy like that, and he summoned him and was like, hey, come talk to me. They talk about it, and he's like, it's crazy how I was gracious enough to forgive you of your debts, and you go and you harass someone instead of forgiving them for their debts. You got to go to jail. You're going to pay me all of my money back, and that is the only way you'll be released. It's one of my favorite stories because it just shows grace, gratitude, and the ability to forgive. We pray all the time to God, and it's like, hey, please forgive me of my sins, my trespasses, my debts. But yet we're holding on to other people and we throw those up in their face, and we wonder why, God isn't listening or looking out, or we don't feel, like they're forgiven. Like we walk still in shame, or we feel so convicted or condemned even. But it's because you're not forgiving those other people in your life the way that you want God to forgive you. So if I could be of any encouragement, if there's anybody in your life that you're holding any grudge against, whether they owe you money, whether they owe you an apology, whether they owe you an explanation, whatever it is, let it go. Give them the grace that they need, not for yourself, but for God, because again, there are so many things in your life that you do that you want Him to forgive you for. And He's a gracious Father and He will. But how much more will you feel when you know that you don't have a burden of any debts or anything like that that's hovering over your mind when you pray to God, because you know for a fact that He's forgiven you.